We're back with more Metroid Prime, one of the greatest games ever. Not much else on that front. Let's just fucking start the game. Okay, so recap of where we last left off. We were in the best area of the game. We got the boost ball. I kept fruitlessly trying to find the area where you can apparently scan the Ice Shriek bats as soon as possible, because the sooner that requirement's out of the way, the better. And now we got to go back through the world for more places to use our boost ball. Yeah. There. But that's all right. We'll at least be back in Phendrana, like, not too long from now. It's just this is the part of the game's progression where it's like you got this ability that has applications in areas you had just gone through. Go back and get some new stuff that'll help you make further progress in this new area. Because that to me is like a good sign of like they understand navigational flow in a Metroid game and how it should be. Like, the more it can get you to go back and forth through areas before you can even feel like you have thoroughly completed even one area is a good way of moving you through the environment and making you better appreciate how it opens things up. You know, Super does it, Dread does it all the time to like amazing effect. This works pretty well similarly. Okay. So from here, if I recall, I know I had like accident. Yeah, right. It got to take this to Talon Overworld West. I had already explored over there while completely forgetting that that was not where you have to go to get the elevator to Phendrana. Ow. God. Alright. Took care of those. Still feels so great playing this game again. Be it the GameCube original or even the version that's on the trilogy with the pointer controls. Both are still great ways to to re-experience this. I can only hope that Nintendo will have the foresight for, like, to not only re-release these games, god damn it, actually jump up properly. There we go. I guess I was just going a bit too early before hitting the edge. But yeah, I hope if they do get around to, like, porting this to like Switch so that, like, newer fans can appreciate it. I sure hope they don't try and go to nickel and dime route and just, like, only release each game piecemeal or something like that. Like that rumor implied, which I generally find was, like, not that, come on. Are you kidding? There we go. But yeah, these games still deserve to, like, have means for people to play them, regardless of, like, regardless of platform. Whether you have a GameCube, a Wii, or just, like, a bitchin' PC with Dolphin. Okay. Yep, I knew it. They were gonna do that right there. Okay. Oh! I'll be honest, I never thought to try that before, and now I see why you should not boost ball through areas like these unless it is specifically with enough barriers to keep you on a rail. Otherwise, man, boost ball is fun to use. It's sort of thing where, like, in hindsight, you look at it and realize it kind of makes up for the fact that, like, they never were able to implement the speed boost in these games. Granted, I would like it if they could, like, for Prime 4, find a way to include the speed booster, you know? But with, like, already the increased speed of, like, moving around in Morph Ball combined with the boost ball ability, it kind of, like, it gives its own flair of, like, interesting mobility puzzles that, like, they don't necessarily need to be full-on Shine Spark sequences, but it works well as its own thing. Wait, what is it? Oh. Alright, it was these things. I had a bit of difficulty seeing. There we go. Missile expansion. Okay. Come on, and that's all. I need some health back. Nice. Okay, so we're in the Roots Cave. We'll just work our way up until we, like, find, like, a door that requires a missile. Already I'm thinking through my head, like, based on progress that was clearly made during the last stream, like, within about 3 hours, I'm definitely wondering how, like, how many key items am I going to end up getting by the time I'm done with, like, this approximately 4-hour stream this morning. My hope is that at the very least, I'll be able to get the Wavebuster. Because getting more, like, because working our way to getting those, like, charge beam combos would be a very, very nice thing to have. Okay. Oh, wow. Just barely I managed to, like, scan it in time. But yeah, that's right. I forgot about, like, the quick way. You deal with the blood flowers quickly by just shooting their projectile back at them. That's why, like, the lock-on automatically prioritizes the projectile. Alright. Yeah, and here we are. We're back here. Nice. You love to see it in a Metroid game. You love to see those moments where you're going along the intended progression route and realize, oh shoot, I'm back here, but by a different route. Okay. Right, yeah, so this is just like another way up to that door. What I really need to do is take advantage of this. Got it. Those are always so fun. Even if they are, like, simple in comparison to, like, what they do with Morph Ball puzzles by the time Prime 2 and 3 come around. It's still innately satisfying. Honestly surprises me that, like, none of the 2D Metroid games even, like, attempted to, like, include something like this. But I guess that would probably, because of, like, how maps are designed and the physics of what, that'd probably be something that might introduce more problems than they're willing to have in a traditional 2D Metroid. I'm not sure. Besides, again, like, as far as, like, mobility-based stuff, they already have Shine Spark puzzles on lock. Now, all we gotta do is just stay up on this ledge. And we finally get such a useful item. Space jump boots. Not as potent as the traditional space jump, where it just lets you jump indefinitely. But double jump is just the godsend for getting through through any of these games. Yeah, and we'll take the time to save, reload our weapons and all that in our own version of Crateria. Okay. Now then, landing site. Right, it should be behind here because, yeah, there's a Morph Ball tunnel, which we could not get to at the start, but now we can, and we got ourselves 5 more missiles. Okay. Now I guess we just kind of go back through the main door and return to the caverns. Man, 4 energy tanks, 60 missiles. A good start for, like, this early. Predator activity analyzed. Yeah. Yep, of course it's gonna make us go all the way back there after we got, like, the next most useful ability of the game. Okay. Done. Okay. Oh, man. Back through the usual spots now. Next, I believe we actually can take a pit stop around the monitor station of this zone, because it gives you, like, there's something we can do with the boost ball and then some other things that let us get one of our first artifacts, like, very early, which contributes a lot to the artifact fetch quest of Prime 1 not feeling like such a bad thing, because of just how easy and convenient it is to, like, stumble upon, like, some of these early if you are diligent enough with, like, your exploration. Yeah, now with the space jump, I can just, like, clear most of these gaps no problem. That's all good. I can even clear this. I don't even need to worry so much about expertly timing my jumps anymore. Alright. That's those taken care of. Now, let's see. The thing we need to interact with, I'm pretty sure, is, like, up around the top. Oh, man. I have to admit, like, after streaming this on Monday and just having, like, the long discussions about, like, Metroid and the new current expectations I have for Prime 4 to be, like, something amazing, like for this sub-series what Dread was for the 2D games. And I'm like, I actually started trying to, like, brainstorm in my head, just, like, finding ways to imagine, like, how they would make it, like what would be interesting ways of, like, trying to, like, go about it, like what would be cool to see that would, like, push a lot of, like, this game's, like, core mechanics, especially in, like, movement and combat so far. And I found afterwards that, yeah, it was still hard to even begin to imagine, because there's so many different ways, and also on top of that, so many ways that it could probably get in the way of, like, the core fundamentals that people would like. Wait, I probably should have scanned that. Oh, I'm an idiot. Oh, God. Hold on. I forgot. Yeah, that's right. The the spinner is, like, a scannable item that should go in the logbook, if I remember correctly. Yeah, that's another thing I gotta remember to get used to every time I go back to streaming this and any of the future games, is to not get lax on the fact that I need to scan all the important stuff. Even though it doesn't really factor into the ending you get, that's the only thing that determines ending is item completion. But it would still be nice just to get the 100% scan log completed, because, like, this, like, because I started this stream playthrough on a fresh system file. Like I guess I just did not have because I have last I played this version actually was on my GameCube, which I have a different memory card inserted in that. I'm playing this off a Wii just because this is because between those two systems, this is the only one that I have, like, component cables for that didn't like force me to break the bank on them. So, like, that's fine. There we go, our first Chozo artifact. See, like, it's real great to be able to, like, access even one of them this early on, you know? As opposed to Prime 2, where it's like, it's only possible once you get the light suit, which is very late in the game, and then you have to do, like, a lot of, like, deciphering stuff in order to find the location of a hidden enemy that can only be seen with a specific visor. So, the fact that that feels so much like it's concentrated in the back end is why it is more negatively perceived, and kind of, like, by unfair association also affects how the fetch quests in this and Prime 3 are perceived. Although, I'll be honest, I can't remember exactly even, like, what was the big deal with Prime 3s, or if it even was as egregious as I thought it was. Because in my head, all I thought it was just the, you picking up those, energy cells that you then take to the Valhalla and, like, open up the more parts of the abandoned ship. Which, I was fine with that. Like, I thought that was, like, a cool way of, like, making use of the things you were collecting, because it's, like, unlocking, like, especially because it was for, actually, I guess that's the thing that I can't quite easily remember anymore about Prime 3, was whether or not, like, the stuff you were collecting to get access to more of that ship, whether it had anything that pertained to, like, actually completing the game. I want to say it wasn't. It felt like it was for something that was potentially optional. But my brain could probably be just suppressing the memories for whatever reason and simply replacing it with the other things I liked about that game, you know? With the use of motion controls, like how good the bosses in combat was. This, though, it's all perfectly fine and good. Because, like, by the time that you go to actually finish the quest, like, if you've been very good at exploring, like, along the critical path, you're more than likely gonna already have 50% of it done anyway. Like, that's not an issue. Okay. Now then. We got our double jump. So now the game's obviously going to want us to make use of it. With these particular platforms. All the while, shriek beds are just going to keep ramming into us. Okay, this should be... Oh, god damn it, no. Yeah, because it's like... Yeah, like that door to our right is what we actually need to take. Oh wait, yeah, I think this was actually the path I needed to take, these two platforms. Okay. Temple entranceway. Oh yeah, these bombos. I've always loved the effect they've had on, like, changing the way, how they affect your, Okay, good. Got the ice parasite. Nice. But I've always liked how they affected, like, your visor in a way. That is, like, because it's, like, electronic interference and immersion is such a huge factor of this game, of course they would, like, want something that's, like causing an EMP effect on your equipment. Alright. I still hope it's... Oh, god damn it. I still... that said, I still hope it's not too late for me to find the Ice Shriek bats and, like, scan them. Because that room near the end of last stream, I know for sure, like, I recall them being in there. I just could not remember if it was possible to, like, scan them anyway, or if you could not get to where they were without the space jump. Which we have now, and we're going to have to go back through there anyway, because we need the, what we need to gain access is the wave beam. Which is, well, oh my god, I am trying to talk too much and not focusing enough on first-person platforming. I never struggle this much with it. I am an idiot. Yeah, I'm actually just gonna shut up and, like, focus on getting to the top of this. Whew. I was actually on the edge. The statue is flawless. Clearly. Seek my twin within this room. Ah, there it is. Okay, next up. Working our way over to the boss. Oh yeah, that's right. I gotta bomb like the pillars underneath. There. Oh wait, no, not yet. God damn it. Still gotta do this a bit more. And here we are. Wave beam. Hell yeah. All right. Okay, that's the first four. Now we get the actual Sheegoth. Okay, let's see. New creature. Supreme Predator. They're invulnerable to most beam weapons. Crystals on their back absorb energy, which they can fire at prey. But they have poor stamina. They have permanently after using their breath attack, making their mouth vulnerable. Also susceptible to concussive blasts. That's like an alternative, even though it's designed to like really. Hold on. Yeah, but missiles work pretty well. Assuming that it hits, of course. It should be fine. We got all these missiles, we might as well take advantage of it. as well as bombs. There we go. Finally, we get our second beam. And being able to show off just one of the coolest things about the Prime games. Or at the very least, Prime 1 and 2, because 3 technically didn't have this. It had the more traditional beam stacking of, like, 2D games. But yeah. Manually switching beams with the C stick, with a very cool triple sine wave effect. And it has the benefit of stunning enemies when you hit them, especially with like a charge attack. It's very good for that. I love this thing, but part of my love for it admittedly comes from like a beam combo upgrade that you get later on, where you basically take advantage of like you charge the beam up and then press the button you normally use to fire missiles, because that's the combo you use for using super missiles once you've unlocked those. But yeah, they roll out the bomb shoes in here because they know that this can absolutely take care of them. Okay. Now we can go back to the shoreline and head on over to the ruins again. Oh, yeah. This game, like, I can never stop praising it enough for just its dedication to having all manner of, like, wonderful attention to detail, especially the things that are, like, so minor. Because, like, because obviously, like, having different beams that you can switch between that all have different effects is, you know, that's really good. That's appreciated. But I think what's, like, extra cool is that, like, the icons for each beam corresponds to, like, a hand gesture that Samus is clearly making in order to activate them. Which, in addition to that, is further confirmed later on when you get the X-ray visor and you can actually see her hand, like, her digits basically, like, opening or curling into different, like, hand formations based on what she is using the beam for, which is, like, that is still, like, to me, so genius. Actually, hold on, I'm gonna do something. Like, just in case I screw this up, I'm gonna go back down and save. Because, you know, I don't want to, like, necessarily waste all this time having to go back and fight the She-Goth and get the Wave Beam again if I so much as screw up on my chance to scan the Ice Shriek bats, because they better still be there, god damn it. I swear to fucking Christ. Alright. Now we go back through here. Man, I've always really loved the Wave Beam in this game. I guess that's kind of another minor thing that gives this an edge over Echoes, is that, like a good number of the beam weapons in 2 have clear analogs to stuff that we get in Prime 1. But nothing that really feels like you get, like, an analog to the Wave Beam. And it's, like, one of the best of the game, it feels like. It is slightly weaker, though. Like, you might remember, like, if we were using, like, a regular charge beam, like, full charge on the, like, it would have gotten rid of the shell on the baby Sheegoth's back. But not with the wave beam. Because, again, like, they're balanced in a way that, like, they're not designed to be, like, straight upgrades of each other in, like, terms of raw damage. The way it actually is supposed to work out is, like, you have additional properties of these different beams that are designed to compensate either, like, its lack of or, like, presence of extra damage. Okay, this should be it. Okay. Oh, wait, no. Oh, I am it. Oh my god, I am such an idiot. That's where they were. It wasn't that they were behind an area that I couldn't access with a power-up. It's just I was looking in the complete wrong direction and I was blind to them. Okay, never mind. I am relieved. I no longer have to worry. We got the Ice Shriek Bat scan. That is probably like one of the worst, like, easily missable scans that we no longer have to concern ourselves with. Thank Christ. Now we can actually move on. God, I still feel like such an idiot. Like, now it makes sense why, like, the guide I have for, like, scan order for the logbook listed them as early as they did. The problem is, it doesn't tell you, like, because it's just, like, a cheat sheet of, like, names of rooms. Here are important things in this room to get. It doesn't tell you how, so, like, which I'm personally fine with. I appreciate, having to, like, remind myself of, like, how to do things instead of being explicitly told every single step. It's just, I prefer a checklist of, like, things that could be seen as goals, not steps. That's probably the best way to put it. Having a checklist of, like, where upgrades are in each room is good because that's goal-oriented. I'm like, okay, I know that X thing is here. Now I just have to put my brain to use in figuring out, like, how to get it. Now then, we're on our way to the ruined courtyard. Yep, okay. Should be an energy tank that we get from here as well, if I recall. Might even be at the top. Yeah, I'd already scanned the spinner. Okay, now just gotta hurry. Got it. I think that's all four. Next thing that needs to be done, raise the water level. Okay. Now to not fall. Oof. Got it. There we go. It's all that for the energy tank. Look at that. 5 whole pips. Bringing us out to 599 points of energy because this game will never let you just sit at, like, at an even number for max health. Never. No, sir. We still need to raise the water level again just because that's part of a repeating puzzle you need to do every time you want to get to the top of this. Oh, what the... Oh, come on! Oh, you fucking bastard. Yeah, okay, like, I know the wave beam's fun and all, but God, I just need to do this. You goddamn assholes. Knocking me off my platform as I'm trying to shoot you. Oh, come on. Ugh. Wow, I am just losing my focus when it comes to platforming in this. I have no idea what it is. It feels like I'm just, like, constantly second-guessing, like, how far I'm going in a jump that I'm like, no, it's too far, pull back. Even though I'm like, no, I actually, by the contrary, I wasn't far enough. Oh, well, at least the shriek bats are taken care of. Not shriek bats, the... Actually, I forget what they were called again. I know they're not regular shriek bats. They're weird sonic bat flying things or whatever. Fuck if I know. You know, we'll just do this. Admittedly, like, despite the problems I'm having, that's more on me and, like, not really the game itself, because it's like, this is one of those instances where I can say this is first-person platforming done right, you know? Because it's like, or maybe not right, or at least done well, like, something to that effect, because it is the sort of thing where, like, you play it and you realize it does things to try and accommodate the fact that, like, make you feel a bit more comfortable with the idea of jumping in first person. Like, you see every time I do it, every time I do a jump, like, the camera shifts down just slightly to kind of give you an idea of, like, where you're going. Granted, it's probably still better to, like, do things this way where you manually aim down, hold L to, like, lock your view in place, and then just move forward. I mean, either's fine, really. And then it obviously becomes a non-issue if you're playing with, like the motion controls for Prime Trilogy, and it's like, you can just look independently of where you're aiming no matter what. You just have, like, the great double jump on top of that. Yeah, I can't really scan that. Oh well. Oh yeah, so right now... Oh, got our first real pirate enemy. There we go, Shadow Pirate. Trained for stealth operations. Yeah, with a fully charged wave beam shot, it will electrocute them and stun them in place, giving you time for more damage. That's great. Yeah. Because right now, after a good couple hours of just exploring this place free of, like, any sort of, like, space pirates around, we are now back in their territory. You know? We're no longer on a derelict frigate. We're back to this. Gotta scan the locked door just so it's registered. And the regular space pirates as well, because the ones that were able to fight on the frigate, they don't count. They were already weakened. These are them at full force. Yeah, but they're also very stupid. I'm not kidding. They're very much like absolutely dumb motherfuckers. Like some of the research, some of the scan logs you get that are like research logs from the space pirates themselves on like what they're doing is just some of the funniest goddamn shit ever, because it shows that like in that like in how amoral they are and just focused on doing weird shit for the sake of their own like egos and galactic domination. Some of the things they end up trying to do like makes them look like a bunch of like idiots who are way in over their heads on what they're doing. And that's basically like the crux of all three Prime games. The pirates are all involved with something that are like they are not the main threat. They are a threat that is like adjacent to like the real problem. They just try to like harness or get away from whatever it might be, because regardless, it just causes problems for them no matter what. It's real silly. Oh. No, actually, I should have gone back down because there's a map station. Maps are good. We need those. And, you know, it also feels nice, just like this is a situation where you can see the argument that was made for like why they didn't design this like a dual analog first-person shooter and why that's still fine. Notice how like simple and intuitive that it is, and that you don't even really have to think about it much. Just flicking the C-stick in any of the 4 cardinal directions to change your weapon. You know, it's something that is just very intuitive to do on the fly. It's not like other games where that sort of weapon selection's on the D-pad, you'd have to take your thumb off the stick. Which, admittedly, you kind of have to do anyway if you want to change scan visors, but it's not nearly as important for regular combat or, like, encounters as it is with, like, changing weapons on the fly. Okay, now we're on our way to Research Lab Hydra, which has quite a number of pirate data logs that are absolutely wonderful. Oh yeah. Good old wave beam, charge, and missile combo. That's great. Let's clear out this place of the pirates before we start scanning the data logs. Pirate communique, main research facility located. I mean, I'm already inside it game. Whatever, it's fine. There. Now we can scan things in this room to our leisure, because there's a lot of goodies here. Okay. Checking over here. Yeah, because we gotta focus on scanning the red things. Pirate data. Okay. There we go. Most terraforming and retrofitting of security checkpoints in Talon 4 is complete. We continue to research the alarming epidemic of breaches by local creatures. Door records show no unauthorized entries, so we must presume they are either slipping in undetected during personnel moves, or else finding their way in through subterranean tunnels. Yeah. They can't catch a break. Space pirate encrypted data. Mining operations have begun near the crater, where Phazon appears to be most concentrated. Which is a very, very bad idea in this universe. Phazon is not good. Yeah, it does. Okay. Codified the newfound energy sources Phazon. A V-index, a class 5 index mutagen, of which we have very little reliable data. Indications point to a meteor of unknown origin impacting approximately 20 years prior. Lifelike characteristics mutating organic life forms strong enough to withstand its poison. With abrupt evolutionary leaps appearing in single-generation reproduction. Yep, that's why they're here. Because they're like, oh shit, this could be useful. Even though it's like, no, it's not. It is painfully radioactive and toxic and all manner of dangerous. Okay. The last two are hopefully up top here. Let's see. Research Outpost Glacier 1 in the Fendron Adris region. Mountains is operating at 85% capacity. Sub-zero temperatures have made the Metroid sluggish and easy to control, even those well into Phazon infusion cycles. Yeah, that's the other thing. They still apparently have Metroids on hand. They're still willing to do stuff with this. No, it's fine. If it was dangerous, then the Space Pirate science team wouldn't be covering monsters with it. They clearly do not have, like, the best idea of what dangerous means in this case. Okay, and then last pirate data for this room. Initial tests exposing Talon 4's indigenous parasites to Phazon appears to be successful. Yeah. She's 100% extinction rate only after 4 infusions. Like, I mean, I guess props to them in a way for committing to the scientific method, but it's still in service of science that really should not be done at all. Okay. Alright, now to make our way to the observatory. Yeah, these guys seem like they're way into control groups and blind testing and lab safety. Well, I say the scientific method, but I never necessarily implied that they went about it in a good way. I mean, they're clearly, like, they have ideas, they have hypotheses, they're They're trying to test them to see, does this work if I inject blank with blank? No? Revise strategy. Oh, man. Oh, God. Blowing up a stunned space pyro with a missile never fails to be satisfying, especially just because of, like, the simple ragdolling that they have set up for it. Like it just, depending on where you hit them and, like, where they are in the room, it could just send them flying all over the place. It's so good. Holographic sequence initiated. More pirate data. Spiral sector detected a massive energy spike emanating from a Wanderer-class planet identified as Talon 4. Yep. Pretty much the point at which they discovered this place. Does rubbing Phazon onto it make it more dangerous? Yes. No. Hunter blew up lab. Test again later. Oh my god. Phazon mining is underway. Terraforming Chozo ruins is underway. All this stuff for the science team. I really love the Prime Trilogy's entire depiction of the space pirates, where it's like 50% of all logbook scans downloaded. Cool, thanks. Thanks for that, game. But yeah, it's like, I love how they're depicted here, just because, you know, they're both still bad. They're still pirates, whether it's in the mainline series or this. But, like, I love the extra angle they apply to this, where they clearly have, like, people that are, within the space pirates that are all extremely dedicated to the process of amoral science. It just gives like the stuff they do context that is extremely amusing, even more so as the games go on, and like kind of as I described, they get in way over their head when it comes to all this Phazon stuff that it's like they don't even qualify as being the big threat in any of these games. They're just dumbasses that got wrapped up in everything because of like their desire for ultimate power. All right. Sweet. Got a holographic map of this system. And that is planet Zebes. 4.8 trillion teratons. Crust is primarily earthic ore, making it ideal for subterranean construction. Zebes is inhospitable to most bioforms. Role was considered unremarkable until it became a base for space pirate forces. Yeah, ain't that the truth? We got Metroid and Super Metroid to attest to that. And here's Talon 4. Yep, used to be paradise. It used to be heaven on earth, essentially. Before the trouble started with Phazon. Now, we just need to get up top and get our first beam combo weapon, the Super Missile. And there. Whew. Yep. God, just the... These are so good. These beam combos that you get are so good. And it works so well, too, to activate, considering that all these buttons are, like, they're face buttons. They're not triggers, yet kind of, I guess, like, in a way that highlights how good the GameCube controller can be if you actually design for it. Like, the way everything's arranged makes it so convenient to very easily just hit any combination of buttons that you need, you know? Like, holding, like, it's very easy to just, like, still hit B to jump while you're holding A to charge. Same for, you know, doing the super missile or other charge combos. Like, it works well. It's definitely the sort of thing that just makes it, like, if you were to emulate it, makes it just a tad more annoying to work with, I feel like, if you're playing it in Dolphin and just using any other regular controller with it. It's definitely how it felt for me, at least. Okay. Yeah, West Tower. Now we're heading out to the control tower. I've actually gotten pretty decent use out of those combos during bosses. I feel it's especially useful when you get to the final boss. If anything, I do feel like missile cost is definitely high on them. But I think it's kind of worth it if you manage to, like, keep connecting them, especially the charge combo for the wave beam. Wavebuster is just fantastic because it's like it's a persisting arc gun. That, like, as soon as you fire it and connect it to an enemy, you just maintain a lock and then they cannot escape it. The ice one, I think, was, like, just kind of whatever. And flamethrower with the thermal beam is, like, pretty good, assuming that you're close enough for it to matter, because I remember its range not being particularly strong. It was not a strong suit of that combo. But yeah, I like them, though. It adds a bit of extra functionality and depth to, like, the use of these weapons that I find, like, makes them feel not so, like, simple in one note, you know? Wow, I don't think I've seen that specific animation of him spiraling out of control. I recall the one, obviously, that these flying pirates do multiple times where they dive bomb to you, but the one where it was just, like, flying in all directions as they lose control, that one I think was technically new to me. Okay. But yeah, I love the idea behind them. It might be more likely with the wave beam. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that probably does make sense. Because of the whole point of it being that, like, it affects electronics and like, causes electrical stun to organic targets. So that probably makes a lot of sense. Hey, Arian. Cool to see you drop by. Playing some Metroid Prime. Having a good time. It's one of the greatest games ever. Alright, Research Lab Aether. And what do you know, we're getting our first encounter with an actual Metroid. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the effect of when you do the kill with a wave beam, on a turret, it definitely causes it to go haywire. Aren't they canonically dead after 2? Well, they're brought back temporarily in 3. Like in Super. They're extinct in Fusion and 5. But also Prime takes place before 2 is the idea. So, like, that's how they're able to get away with having Metroids in this. Oh yeah, and I also forgot to mention, even though they were technically extinct by the time Fusion came around, like, the Federation still had that sort of conspiracy plot of they were using, like, a research station to, like, regenerate Metroids. So Prime's before Dread as well? Yep. All games in the Prime series take place in between Metroid 1 and 2. Which is another thing that has me curious to see if they're going to continue that trend for Prime 4 or if they're going to actually try and, like, have it set somewhere else completely. Because it could go either way, I feel like. Yeah, I still wonder that too. Just kill this thing while we're at it. At the moment, it's going to be vaporware. Nah, I think not. We'll see it again soon, and when we do, they'll clearly announce it when it's, like, about 6 months out from when it releases. Again, like, let's not forget, they showed Bayonetta 3 that it still existed. Like, that, like, I don't think it's fair to say that that's going to be vaporware at this point, especially when they openly admitted that they restarted development and gave it back to Retro Studios. Like, I don't think that's necessarily going to be an issue. It's just a matter of when and how are they going to, like, make this so that it stands out, like, compared to everything else in the series again after all this time. Like, for both Prime, not just Prime, but also even next to the 2D Metroids. Because I've gone on about this already. Dread is fantastic, and that is, like, oh, man. It's enough to, like, that, like, it pushes 2D Metroids in a direction that, like, I really, really like and found refreshing, that I hope Prime 4 does the same. Nah, I feel like that's not even necessary just because of, like, how fundamentally different a lot of, like, Prime and, like, 2D Metroids already feel. Like, they're both Metroid games. They just, like, the way they approach it is obviously they do their own very different specific things. Okay, let's scan this. Confidence very high regarding Phazon. So much confidence. Hold on, I need to double check and make sure I didn't still miss another one up here. I don't think I did. Oh wait, no I did. It was up here. God, I forgot. Yeah. You gotta look very carefully. Alright. Now we can just keep heading downward. As well as get this missile tank. With in a very precarious morph ball path that we have to navigate. Got it. First try. Excellent. Pirate data. More of that. Metroid Dissection continues to provide more questions than answers. Research team isolated the energy conduits from the invasive twin mandibles to energy core. Manner in which a Metroid actually extracts the life force from its prey remains an utter mystery. Yeah, because it's literal life energy. Like, you got questions? Take it up with the Chozo. Oh, wait. They're extinct, except for this badass, like, section of warrior tribe Chozos that we didn't even know were a thing until Dread came out. Yeah. They care so much about, like, just using everything the Metroids are useful for. So Warrior Chozo, even a Chozo, they might as well just be called Angry Birds. They count. I mean, if it's anything to go by based on Dread, they do adhere to, like, the same naming scheme that all Chozo do, which is just hilarious. Because their names aren't even anything that resemble, like, a name that would exist in their language. It's just English adjective nouns. Or noun nouns, or whatever. I mean, let's not forget, the Chozo that specifically raised Samus as a kid is named Old Bird. Like, Quiet Robe and Ravenbeak and Dread don't even compare to having a Chozo who's just named Old Bird. Like, that just sounds like a nickname. That's not even like a proper... That doesn't feel like it should be a formal title. That's the problem. Better than trying to pronounce all the moth names in 2. I suppose. Admittedly, I've kind of forgotten all specifically what those were, but... I don't know. I guess I'll know for sure once we get to Prime 2 in like a couple weeks. Alright, now let's finish them off with a wave beam, see how that goes. Oh, yeah. A lot of consonants and apostrophes. Okay, yeah. That absolutely makes sense. You know, I actually learned something interesting from, like, looking at, like, interviews with, like, former Prime Trilogy devs. Like, someone bringing up an interesting fact about, like the Luminoth language, and specifically those, you know, those symbols that you scan, like they're like runes that you have to like scan in order to open certain doors to make progress. Like, that's actually described from what I discovered. Like, someone came up with that as effectively Luminoth sign language, because the shapes that those runes are basically they're the Luminoth's hands in different gestures. Like the lines are like the bones connected to like circles that are the knuckles on a Luminoth's hand. So that's basically that's essentially the way that race communicates, and I think that's actually really cool. Like that's straight up someone clearly thought about like ways to kind of come up with like in alien race's own like ways of communicating and customs and all that. Almost there. We can finally get us our third visor. Yep. Oh yeah, I remember that. Yep, just like you were talking about. Like, I'm glad you brought that up to remind me, Grunt, about like killing one of the auto turrets with the charged wave beam shot, and just how it like makes them shoot everywhere as they're going on the fritz before blowing up. It's fantastic. Yep, yeah, exactly. I was actually just bringing that up earlier in the stream once I got the wave beam, where it's like, it's an amazing set of details that only dawns as you continue to go through the game and realize that they had thought about it that far back, you know? It's such a cool way of like giving you an idea of like how Samus activates these different beams without going out of their way to necessarily like explain in verbose detail. Because sometimes that's not necessary for literally everything in your fictional universe, you know? Showing can be just as effective if you know how to do it well and like reward the people that care to like look for that stuff. Anyway, third visor. You know, it's like thinking about it again, like in the context of the Prime games overall. Obviously, like, combat and scan visors have always been the mainstays. You know, they're too important to like the core game flow. But I'll totally be honest. Wait, hold on. Oh yeah, that's Ice Beam. So we gotta head back up. But yeah, it's like, because of all the different like visors they come up with across 3 games, even if there are some that are like really cool and unique to each game, I still feel like Prime 1 still has the best overall package of different visors, you know? Combat as like your normal, scan, which is important for like getting details from the environment, thermal for allowing you to like detect heat signatures through walls in addition to like seeing in the dark, and then X-ray visor for like showing fake walls or like invisible platforms, or the aforementioned detail of seeing Samus's hand like firing the her beam cannon, and all that. It's so good. A lot of the other unique visors for stuff like 2 and 3 are like really cool, but ones where in hindsight you look at them and be like, I kind of wish that they were like used in more unique ways instead of situational. Yeah, that's the thing. Well, that's obviously specifically for beams as opposed to visors. I do wish, ultimately, that, like, the light and dark beam types weren't just blatantly the thermal and ice beams, respectively. That would have helped them a lot. That said, though, the beam combos for, like, the Prime 2 weapons are pretty nuts. They're like, they kind of go beyond what they had started with for some of the beam combos in this game to feeling like if Samus did not have trigger discipline, she could just destroy entire planets without the need of like a self-destruct sequence. Like, I'd have to look up again to see like what each of the charge beam effect combos are for light, dark, and annihilator beams, but they're just so much more insane, and almost like actually do things to try and justify like the ammo system, I guess, because if they're that powerful, then of course they should be using more than just missiles. Oh, wait. I got some. Yes. Yes. Fly, my little jellyfish enemies, I guess. Are you not gonna... Are you not gonna Oh well. I tried. There really was a missed opportunity there with what I just did for them to, like, program some, like, Doom-style, like, infighting between enemies, I feel like. Because, let's be real, on a more logical situation, they would have set that up where it's like, yeah, you release the Metroids in the same room where you're fighting space pirates, they are absolutely going to, like, try and absorb the energy off of everything, including them. Oh well. I tried. There are. I suppose. Maybe I just didn't, like, notice it quite as clearly as I would have liked. You know? That's probably it. Like, if there's any, like, actual infighting that you come across, it definitely feels more like a result of, like, scripting. Oh well. That's all of those. And I think we just gotta make it back to the research lab. What is it? Hydra? Yeah. Go. Oh yeah, that's right. When fighting the auto turrets, they don't give off like a normal heat signature, so they can appear almost invisible. Yeah. Yeah, it's so good because it's like, it's interesting to think about how various games, like, years after this, try and have, like, alternate vision modes that give you certain details. Yet they do such a poor job at, like, finding ways to incentivize you to, like, switch between different ones or still go back to, like, your regular one, you know? Like, because Thermal Visor is really good when you're in dark areas. That's the idea behind it. But it has, like, its set of disadvantages. Obviously, if I were to do, like, or maybe not that, actually. That's right. It's like if there's specific light sources that overload it. But in most cases, it's like, yeah, this shows they actually think through the in-universe tech. And also, from a gameplay standpoint, it really does highlight that there are, like, logical in-universe limitations to it that makes it so that it doesn't just become your primary means of seeing the game. You know? Ideally, the combat visor, which is your normal view of the game, should be how you're perceiving the game most of the time. You shouldn't be relying on this for the entire thing. Or this. You know? All of these, they're so well balanced to have different use cases and not feel like you're sticking with one out of raw convenience. That's the best part. Yeah, because otherwise, look how pitch black this is. Makes sense to do this here. Alright. That's those. And of course, if you still want to stick to, like, not using the thermal visor for everything, just firing a wave beam shot does a good job of, like, lighting things up temporarily. Because sometimes that's a cool way to, like, go about navigating dark areas. Make your own light sources. Then I especially love just how the, like, the wave beam shots in particular, I think, do a good job of making you better appreciate the lighting tech when you're going through dark areas and briefly lighting things up. There we go. Oh, and it's also really cool when you're able to, like, see these pirates hiding in the corners and you can just shoot them. And so I kind of wish 2 had been able to do more with dynamic lighting given the game's themes. That and, like, I actually think on top of that, it would have been cool to see them try and apply, like, sound a bit more than they do. Considering, like, you know, obviously one of the themes is it being a light and dark world, but the subtitle of the game is Echoes. You know, and you get a sound visor that is, like, way more situational than I feel it deserves to be, because I feel like having a lot of, like, long-running echolocation-based, like, puzzles and, like, mechanics would have been really cool. There. Okay. Sonic locks and Visor's vision were kind of awkwardly handled. Yeah. There are definitely ways it could be improved so that it's, like, not as so dramatically harsh that it's unusable outside of its puzzles. Like, there's actually a lot of things. Like, the more I think about Prime 2... Because, again, the way I've described it is that, like, I have nothing really against, like, the concepts, like, the goals they were wanting to go for. It was more a problem, I felt, of, like, they went about executing them in a way that I wish was done differently. Largely because I felt that there were more interesting ways of doing it than what they did. But I could also see why they probably stuck with what they did because of, like, because of the technology they had at the time. Like, because I mentioned that, like, the dual world mechanic in a Metroid type game is something that, like I mentioned, is not really to my liking. Okay, I can hear the missile around here. I gotta... Cordite. Wait, that's right. Cordite. Super missile. Aha. Thank God for, like, the low hum that these collectible items give off. Yeah. Yeah, tech, dev time, money, for sure. Though surprisingly, like, not crunch. Because from what I had, like, learned is that, I guess people, like, based on, like, comments that were made about, like, where the game was in terms of completion at various points made it seem like that they were crunching by the end. And as it turns out, from, like, one of the interviews I had, like, seen from someone describing the process of, like, how they developed all 3 games, and that it was, like, this game, Prime 1, apparently was the only one that had, like, a severe problem with crunch because it was described as a 9-month death march. And that was largely because of how Retro at the time, when it started out, had horrible management. Just, like, poor discipline and mismanagement on, like, every front. That, like, near the end of Prime 1's completion, and then especially after Nintendo, like, did a lot of, like, restructuring of them to be, like, more efficient and, like, not as toxic. It was 9 months? I'm even more impressed now. Yeah, I do feel bad in hindsight, obviously, for the people that had to go through that, but it's still amazing and impressive that they were able to get through that and put out one of the greatest games ever. But for Prime 2, it's the sort of thing where, based on how they described it, it's like, yeah, they had less than 2 months to put it out, especially because one of the things behind its development is that, like, when they finished Prime 1, they were actually first suggested by Nintendo, of all things, to try experimenting with a multiplayer mode for Prime. It was basically something they internally referred to as Prime 1.5. But, like, after 6 months of them messing around with it, Nintendo remembered that, oh yeah, Prime 1 was a critical and commercial success. Let's just make, like, an actual sequel. So then it became more like they had less than 18 months. And then the comments about how they were, like, a few months away and had only 30% completed, that's because apparently how Retro developed their games from then on was they focused on all of, like, the core mechanics and systems first. Like, a lot of intensive prototyping and fixing and, like, polishing to make sure that those worked and that they made a fun game. And once they had all those, they were able to, like, actually make the rest of the content very quickly. So that explains why you see the comments about how Prime 2 was only 30% done when they were, like, I don't know, I think it was 3 months away from launch. It's because they were, like, they no longer had to worry about implementing and like, bug testing and focusing on, like, the mechanics, because that was already taken care of. The rest of the content was smooth sailing. It still doesn't change the fact that I think the decisions they made for Prime 2 on a design level could have been implemented better. But it's at least nice to know that even with the short dev time for it, that it wasn't a result of, like, bad management. Not bad management in the same way that it was during Prime's development. But yeah, but even thinking about, like, how Prime 2 would have been a more interesting game if it had, like, more of the technology and, like, advancements in design that we have now. Like, I thought about it for a while, and, like, why I'm not really especially fond of the idea of Metroids or Metroidvanias that just stack two of the same map on top of each other and you swap between them. I think I realized the reason for why that is because between my examples are obviously Prime 2, but also Harmony of Dissonance, because this was a major part of it, is that you can only really jump in between those maps if you go to the specified warp points. And when you're on one side, you are, like, so far removed from, like, any additional information about, like, what's on the other side that it makes it harder to, like, really foresee where you're supposed to end up going, and, like, if the portal you're taking is gonna lead you to the right place anyway. But thinking about, like, how games in recent memory, stuff like Titanfall 2, or even Dishonored 2 with A Crack in the Slab, like, they have, you know how they have those missions where their main gimmick is you hot swapping between two things. Link to the Past and Twilight Princess did it not too poorly. Yeah, but for me, my reason with that is that, like, the way it works in Zelda is not necessarily the same as it is in Metroid, like, as a whole. Because a lot of like, your progress in Zelda games is more often than not the result of, like, story or scripted-based triggers rather than they are explicitly based on you getting new abilities and having to figure out where to use them. Because Link to the Past is, like, I mean, there's that, but also Twilight Princess in particular is very explicit about making sure you know exactly where to go. With Metroid games where, like, the keys are more literally your powers, I feel like it's a bit more muddy because navigation is a bigger puzzle than it is in Zelda. But with the examples I was describing of, like, Dishonored 2 and Titanfall 2, I could see a version of Prime 2 that is, like, does more justice to, like, the dual world concept if it allowed you to, like, if it gave you, like, an ability or something to just immediately jump to Dark Ether and back if you wanted. Or even, like, have it be something where, like, the Echo Visor, instead of showing you just invisible enemies, have it show you literal, like, things that are in the opposite world that you can't, that aren't available in your current one. Even 8-bit Zelda had sections locked off due to new equipment. Yeah, but it's also, like, it's still implemented fairly differently in approach, obviously. Zelda and Metroid may have similarities in both exploration, but there's a matter of, like, execution and, like, certain ways they approach map design that makes it not quite one-to-one. It just always comes off feeling like it's a lot harder to find a good flow through a Metroid game with 2 layered worlds as opposed to a Zelda game with 2 layered worlds. But yeah, just like, it would have been really impressive of thinking about it more for, like, Prime 2 if it was, like, if they had the idea for swapping between the 2 worlds and they were, like, more instantaneous, and that would just help in, like, improving your flow through both areas and minimizing the chance of mistakes or, like, time wasted on mistakes of you trying to go down a specific route thinking it's the correct way only to get to a dead end that is arbitrarily made longer because it requires you to, like, hop between 2 worlds in order to get it. Still, I mean, that's neither here nor there. Prime 2 was a GameCube game, obviously. It was in 2004. In a way, the instantaneous hot-swapping of worlds is covered by having the different visors. That's actually a very good perspective. Yeah, I could definitely agree with that. Like, I think that helps it a lot, especially when you take into account, like, X-ray visor in this game reveals hidden platforms and fake walls. I just think it would be an amazing step forward if Prime 2 had something where it was like, you're going through a room, and you're curious about, like, what's on the Dark Ether version of that room. You could just pop up a visor, and it would tell you, so that you could have a better mental note of, okay, the other world version of this room has something important. I need to find a way to get there. That would help. Okay, but now we gotta deal with Thardus. This is definitely a boss fight in the Prime series where I feel like it fits a lot with, like, the design ethos of bosses from Super Metroid, where it's, like, visually fantastic, conceptually cool, kind of one note as a boss fight. Especially when, like, its core gimmick that you deal with is not like, it doesn't mix it up enough in, like, very interesting ways in the long term. Like, it's basically repeating the same pattern of use Thermal Visor to find the weak spot within one of its rocks, shoot it with the wave beam, and then once it's exposed and starts to blind you, switch to normal visor, use missiles and other weapons to deal with it. That's how it works. It's not a bad concept for a boss, but, like, the one-noteness of repeating the same pattern combined with its basic attacks obviously is, like, you can see where I'm coming from when I go back to talking about how Prime 2 and 3's bosses are a marked step up and, like, finding ways to engage you more with, like, how it attacks and, like, encourages the use of your mechanics. But again, conceptually, this is still pretty cool, if not kind of silly, because Phazon decided to just inhabit a bunch of rocks and reanimate it as if it were a person. Like, that's cool. Then, and also I just remembered how, like, the one time I played this game on hard, it definitely felt like fighting Thardus took forever. Just because everything, like, requires twice as much damage as you're able to deal. Okay. Alright, come on. Oh wait, I think he's... Yep, he's blowing up a storm. There it is. Next weak point. Come on. Okay. Yeah, like that's a lot of like the major problems with it, especially I never even had that much problem with like it forcing you out of Thermal Visor as like part of the routine. But it definitely does have a case. It is a case where like it absolutely has a bit too much health for what it is. And even when you see it rolling into a ball, it's like you have to basically you basically have to turn into Morph Ball and get out of the way well in advance if you want to have a chance of avoiding its rolling attack. Yeah, it goes on for a long while, but at the very least, it gives us a very cool power. Okay. There we go. At least he's less than half now. Ah. Yeah, I'm pretty much always guaranteed to take damage every time he rolls into a ball, and at that point, I no longer care. That's true, yeah. It's not like any of the later pirate bosses, that's for sure. You can pretty much always keep a consistent stream of damage if you are on top of switching visors and staying locked on. All right, now for a better look at his face transitions. It's all the thunder effects. Just rolled right into that one. It's real dumb. Okay. Yeah, but he's doing that a lot more now, which makes this kind of annoying. I do like the detail, though, that during boss fights like this, when you come out of Morph Ball, they're actually smart in making Samus, her transforming out animation always has her facing where the boss is last seen. Which is, that's really good, considering that you don't have, manual camera control in Morph Ball. That helps a lot for, reorienting yourself. Like so. Yeah, that is still kind of a problem. Although, I guess it's not nearly as random as it comes off as. He does, because, most of his time when rolling is that he goes, the way he does is that he rolls towards you first, and once he gets to the perimeter, he starts going in a circle. Like, I feel the idea behind that is that you're supposed to use Morph Ball to get out the way of him directly charging you, and then once you're out of the way and he's doing his circling of the perimeter, that's when you can turn back into regular Samus. Got dinged by a little rock. But for all our troubles, we get the item that I almost feel like is more immortalized by this game than the game it actually originated in. Motherfucking Spider Ball. Okay. This thing is so good. Okay. Oh yeah, we just need to go back through the North Quarantine Tunnel. God, oh yeah. Yeah, that would have been... I imagine they actually thought about that initially and realized that with the usual geometry fuckery that can happen in a 3D game, they probably very quickly got disillusioned of that idea and was like, you know what, let's just make it like only work on specific tracks. At least 2D Spider Ball makes a lot of sense how that works, because it is like that's only in 2 dimensions, obviously. Just going up against like the outer walls and ceilings in a 2D game is a lot easier to account for. Okay. You get a... Oh, god damn it. I did not mean to drop off. Whatever, it's not like I needed to stay up top anyway. I gotta go this way. Super missile for you. Oh my god, I actually almost got stuck. Funny. Okay. Yep. But now we're done with this current visit of Phendrana Drifts. We actually gotta now go to other places we can make use of our current weapons. And we're all caught up on scan logs, including the Ice Shriek bat. I think this was like before you got here for the stream, Grunt, but I did finally figure out like why I was having trouble finding the Ice Shriek bats in that one room, specifically this. The reason for it is because they were up here. They were not over there like I thought it was. And so that explains why I wasn't really able to like find them in anything. Just like... And fortunately, I was able to, like, scan them before they even attacked me, so, like, one of the worst scans of the game is, like, completely past us. Ah. Yep, that's just how it be. And now to end her babies. Now there is actually a few extra things we can get as far as like getting more missiles. Which I actually forget to see if they Huh. Yeah, I was trying to keep track again to see like if it even tells you like what your maximum missiles are, if you can check that when you don't have max, but I guess not. Whatever, I'm still on track anyway. We're gonna be getting another 10 missiles around here before we finally leave back to Talon Overworld. Okay. Yeah. So there should be a missile expansion that we can now get here in the Ice Ruins East. He thinks it has to do with the spider ball, just a hunch. Thought this was a redacted beam power-up? No, not even close. Nope. More missiles. Now we just gotta go back to the shorelines, get another missile that we can acquire there. And then we'll start the backtracking. Okay. Yeah, I'm now remembering where the next one is, because this is another one we get by using a super missile. Must be thinking of another missile up that requires getting through some ice in a similar room. Yes, I think I know exactly the one you're referring to. The one that's like a Chozo temple. Yeah, that one's definitely not for a long while, thankfully. Oh, yeah, that's right. You have to use the beam. Behind this wall seems to have been activated. Oh, yeah, you don't even need to use a beam. You just scan it, and it reveals it right there. And more spider ball. Cool. Now we can leave. Gotta say goodbye to the best area of the game for now, until we come back. But yeah, with that missile pickup we should be at 80 max. We obviously have 37 left because I've been using a lot of super missiles, but that's to be expected. We gotta make our way back to Chozo Ruins and get the good old Wavebuster. Okay. I'm just gonna feel free to ignore you guys. Also, the other detail that I continue to enjoy about your different your different beam types in Metroid Prime, on top of what we've already discussed regarding the you know, like the hand gestures for activating them, and like how you can see those with the X-ray visor. Just the subtle ways that parts of the arm cannon like transform to accommodate them. Because obviously you can see like the energy color that is associated with it. But you can see how Wave Beam like makes the beam cannon a bit wider, like along the x-axis. Like all the stuff on the sides of the cannon are jutting out because of the energy. And I still remember with like the thermal, with like the plasma beam, where it straight up like it elongates it, which is a nice touch. And the frosting over the ice beam arm does too. Yeah. Like just all like just the cold emanating from that thing looks real good. And even more so like once you start doing a charge beam for it, and it's just all that ice forming. God, I just have to wonder if it's like, because Prime 4, you got the underbridge item there already, right? Yep, yes I did. I got it on the way back to the ship when I was going to pick up the space jump. So that's already taken care of, for sure. It's just I need to make a pit stop back to the ship so that I can get a full refill on health and ammo, and then we head on to Talon Overworld. Not Talon Overworld. We're already there. To Chozo Ruins. I'm a little used to watching blind runs and they never check there. Yeah. I definitely got in the habit of, like, checking it on my own time. Because, like, there are definitely times that I played Prime 1, like, just when I felt like it. And on some of those playthroughs, I don't go for 100% item completion. I'm pretty sure I, at the very least, have always remembered to check under that bridge. Because it is one of those hidden spots where it's like, you never forget once you learn to look there. Not to mention that, like, the low hum that the game gives you every time you're near an upgrade item is always like a big clue to, like, search closely. All right, Chozo Ruins, back here again. With plenty of more missile expansions to get, in addition to my favorite charge beam combo. Alright, here we are, main plaza. Yeah, and another mini-boss that has been demoted to Mook. The plated beetle. Come on, charge me. Damn it. All right. Let's see. trying to remember. I believe it was like... Yep, super missile. This might be... Assuming that's one that you can get early enough, unless you need, like, another... Unless there's, like, somehow another, item you need to make it easier. There we go. Another missile expansion. Just gotta get back up to high ground and find the other one that we can pick up now that we've got some goodies. Wait, hold on. We'll try from that side just to get a better look at what's inside the tree itself. Okay. Yeah, based on what I recall with the double jump height, we can't make it up there, but I'm pretty sure we can get here. Yep, exactly. 90 missiles, sweet. Alright, so where's Ruined Shrine access? Yes. Gotta go back here where we fought the plated beetle the first time. Okay. And another half pipe. Oh, what? Yeah, that's true. Okay, so that wasn't the hole I was supposed to go in. Okay, I think I remember. There's obviously this I have to bomb open, but then there's the hole on the opposite side of the ramp I need to go through. But yeah, oh yeah, I'm now, because you brought it up, I am now distinctly remembering all the stuff with the ghosts in this room. Regional climate analysis complete. Abnormally low temperatures at the ruin site. Well, good thing we're already here. We just need to pick up an optional item. Oh man, boost balling up ramps just never gets old in these games. Just a great sense of physics and momentum to it. They got that part so right. Okay, now for this big old puzzle room right here. Yep. Okay, yeah, now I'm remembering. 3 missiles for each. I do like the idea behind this puzzle room, even if it is very easy to get knocked off because of the things they start throwing at you in order to, like, try and impede your progress. Okay, so there's the oculi. Or oculus. I guess oculi would be plural in this case. And oh, jeez. Oh. Well, at least I got those key scans out of the way, I guess. Now I just gotta make sure to avoid those plated puffers. Yeah. Because obviously the thing with them is that, like, beam attacks won't work on them. They're clearly meant for missiles. But you're also needing to save your missiles for when you're trying to, like, to destroy the parts of these pillars. This, meanwhile, is like a fun enough precision shooting challenge, where it's like you have to destroy the pillar while also avoiding the Oculus because it just deflects all missiles. It works well. Just can't really... You just can't really be caught up on trying to deal with all the plated puffers as they happen. While also avoiding the glare. That too. Yeah, it is kind of annoying. Especially if, like, the contrast on your display is, like, not good. And it's, like, really overblowing it. Although I guess no amount of, like, contrast adjustment can really fix that. Especially not with the Thermal Visor, because it's just overloading. But, I mean, I had no problem, like, taking out that part of the pillar. But I think... Yeah. We got it! Alright. Man, I remember how long it took me to get up here the first time just because of all the plated puffers getting in your way. But it was worth it. We got the Wavebuster. Oh, yes. I'll definitely have to find, like, a good place to use it, even though we're not anywhere near, like, another boss. But I love that thing. It may chew through all your missiles when you use it, but the damage output that it gives is worth it. Some jump's gonna get static like a motherfucker. Damn straight, man. Absolutely. Alright, back to the main plaza. And which one do I need to take? Again, if I can remember. Nursery access, yeah. So I'll have to take the door to my left. Okay. You know what? Why not? This might be overkill, but I'll do it anyway. And that was only like, what? 10 to 20 missiles? Probably close to 20. Still satisfying when you can connect it, though. But yeah. It'll be real fun to use this once we get to a proper boss again. Which more than likely, like, the most it'll get used will obviously be for Metroid Prime itself. Because that I can say is probably easy to say is the best boss of the game, because it does what the rest of the series started to make good use of, which is boss design that encourages you to make use of, like, all your mechanics and, like, in their functions and practicality. Let's save over here. The thing we gotta do, though, is we gotta work our way back to the, to the elevator that would otherwise take us to the north part of Magmoor Caverns. Because there are other paths we can now branch off to from there. Oh, some more streak bats. if you somehow needed another chance at scanning them. But fortunately, I already got that taken care of. All right. Go through here. There are always more shriek bats. They're like Starbucks. You just find a shriek bat across from a shriek bat. That Lewis Black sketch is just always gonna stick with me. Just describing it right there. The end of the world is a Starbucks across from a Starbucks. And it's a shame, too, because it's like, he described it as being like, the end of the world is in Austin, Texas. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure now that concept of more Starbucks is springing up across from each other is just all over the place now. Yeah, he was right. The world ended already. That's just how it goes. Okay. So we're in the Sun Tower. I do believe I can still, like, open this up with a super missile. Right, because I need to in order to scan these symbols. It must be activated within this room. And that's 2. Right, because... yeah, because this thing's blocking the path back up. I mean, I guess that's a solid way of, like, getting you reacclimated to, like, having to scan for these symbols if it's blocking something important. The question, of course, is if I can find the remaining 2. Because I'm pretty sure I vaguely recall, like, where the remaining 2 are supposed to be. Like, somewhere along these pillars. Yes. There's the 3rd. Yeah, I just had to look high enough. And there we go. Nice. Okay, back up to the Sun Tower access. Looking up isn't easy in this game. No, it's not. Samus's her suit's got quite a bit of bulk to it that it's like just craning her neck up isn't really feasible. It's like she has to arch her back like as far behind her as she can. It's definitely easier with like the pointer controls from Prime 3 and Trilogy. I'll at least give that it. Oh. You saw it. You know what we're gonna have to go up against. It's about that time. Yep. The first of many. But hey, at least this way, one of the things we're getting out of this is another artifact this early. Again, you gotta think positively enough with these as far as like what you're getting out of them. Even if they're kind of annoying, it is working towards something good. Ah. Ah. I think these might actually be warrior Chozo. Perhaps. Maybe they learned how to actually be warriors in death because the Chozo on this planet were all, like, were basically space hippies. They were like, or something like that, or at the very least Luddites. They just wanted to be one with nature, and like just divorce themselves from like all the crazy technological advances that were around them and or made by them. Oh yeah. You know, worst comes to worst, just super missile. Ah, if I could at least see. Alright, that at least does quite a bit of damage. I'm really not in the best position right now. Alright. Oh my god. He just jumped down so fast that it straight up like he juked my super missile. What a bastard. Oh well. Stop trying to make extra dimensional lock-on happen. It's not going to happen? Damn it, I will make it happen. There we go, our second artifact. Thank you. Whew. All right. Sun chamber. Right, we got to get back to the Arboretum and then Ruined Fountain. So right behind us. Okay. Now we get ourselves a break from the Chozo ghosts. Nothing else bad will possibly happen. Alright, is this leading back to... Yep, that's the Ruined Fountain. Jumped off at the right position. Oh, you guys are back. Don't care. Fucking shrike bats. Yes, Ruined Fountain. I believe there's something I can do here now, right? Yep, that's right. Aha! Fountain's running again. Got it. Back through here. That, I believe, takes me to the Gathering Hall. Yep. Oh yeah, we can also quickly save our progress as well, just to be safe. It really does feel good, like, when you're going through, like, this part of the game, and it's like, like you're going back through an area that you recall spending most of your time with without a lot of the basic abilities that you already had during the prologue. And now that you got those again and so much more, it's always so liberating to go back and realize, oh yeah, I can do all this now. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Oh, goddamn. I did not hit jump. It's just, I know the, it's below. Like, the missile pack I need is up near where that door is, but, like, just slightly below it. It's a shame they have to keep resetting all your gear to nothing to make it happen. Yeah. At least these days, I feel most fans are willing to accept that that's just something that has to happen. Because it's like, it only becomes way worse if you try and, like, logic out a new, completely different reason to try and, like, explain why you can't use all your abilities, and that's how you end up with bullshit like you're not authorized to use power bombs, motherfucker. Again, glad we're past that. Like, even Dread just, like, goes for that, where it's like, yeah, you had a weird encounter and you just lost all your abilities. Tough shit, get them back. That's how it goes. Adam's a monster and deserves his death. Yeah. Yeah, human Adam absolutely did. Computer Adam, I'm 50-50 on. He's at least, like, in Fusion and Dread, he's not done anything that has earned the ire similarly to human Adam. Like, that dude was an asshole. Okay. Back to the Gathering Hall. Fusion, he's helpful and confused. In M, he can eat a Buster Wave. Absolutely. Yeah, because, like, when it comes to Fusion, yeah, he's confused because he doesn't even start acting like the Adam that Samus remembers until she just, like, instinctually just mentions his name. And in Dread, it's like, yeah, you have communication with him at the beginning, but, I mean... Well, actually, I guess that's technically a spoiler, but... Oh, I'm almost tempted to go, who cares? Just because the actual, like, story content and whatever of Dread is so light anyway. Like, rightfully so. But Dread does another good job of making sure that, like, yeah, Adam is there, and no, he is not doing anything that makes you hate him. Not like his original corporeal flesh form. And that's all I ask for. Got it. I believe that puts us to about 110. Next up, I'm pretty sure is the Dynamo. Double check where to get there from. East Atrium, Energy Core. Oh wait, no, I already was in the Dynamo. That's right. I gotta go out. Gathering Hall. Right, to the East Atrium, which is... Yeah, right at the top doorway. Alright, fine. You want me to shoot all these lasers before I can pass? Fine, I'll do that. Shame on me for trying to damage boost through. Well, la-di-da. Classic speedrun tactic. Absolutely. Take damage to save frames. There. So many shriek bats. Wait, seriously? Huh. I guess I keep forgetting about that part. Oh well. I still got here anyway. Alright, so right now... Furnace is where I need to. You can just hop up the ledge. Okay. Yeah, I guess that does make sense. Yeah, I just never really thought about it that much in the long term. Okay. Here we are at the furnace. We can finally go up here and, like, see the rest of it and boost ball our way through. Or not, I forgot to... God damn it. Did not time the bomb jump properly. My bad. It is... Yeah. Yeah, it still got a cool factor to it just because it's fun to roll around in the morph ball. It absolutely is. Alright. Got the plated parasite. There we go. We're at our max. 115. More Chozo lore. Yep. Every Chozo that was here is now a ghost. And it fucking sucks. Okay. Now to work our way up. If every Chozo's a ghost, then who wrote that lore down? Spooky. I mean, the lore does, funny enough, talk a lot about the, about how they're able to, like, communicate or perceive things, like, in an extra dimensional sense, so... Yeah, I guess that makes enough sense, that that's how they do it. I don't remember, because it's like, Bendesium portion of the floor here is weak. Oh, wait, that's right. There was the tunnel over here. Duh. Yeah, that's right. Bendesium. That's one that can only be done with Bendesium's hamburger bombs. Yep, absolutely right. I just remember because that's what you associate with power bombs. The material for destroying it properly. Here we are at the crossway. Okay, now to scan these pieces of lore. Host of marauding creatures descended from space and invaded our temple. Yeah, so apparently these Chozo, I guess they were alive, like, just, like, they remained alive for just a few moments after the space pirates had arrived and basically tried to tank their plans of containing the Phazon. Yeah, good job ruining everything, space pirates. Yep. Lord talking about Samus, the hatchling. Yep, she does live. Okay. The coming of the worm. The worm, which is obviously the final boss. Okay, so... Right, over there. How is Samus formed? How Chozo get pregnant? Oh, dear. There we go. Now we can start this puzzle. Got it. God, I love these. Oh, I love these puzzles so much. Morph Ball puzzles just continue to be some of the best, like, in the Prime series. Like, arguably more fun than even the ones in 2D Metroids. Because in most of them, they don't really have much with them outside of just doing repeated bomb jumps, you know? And admittedly, it's like, even in Zero Mission and Dread, probably the most interesting use of the Morph Ball itself is whenever you get to use it as part of the Shine Spark. Because that was a feature they first, officialized in Zero Mission. But, these are just so much more immediate and cool. With, how you use the Morph Ball for things like scaling across, magnetic tracks, boosting up inclines to get big air. It's all good stuff. Oh no, more of these guys. God damn it. Ah. I'm just gonna keep super missiling until it is done. And unfortunately, landing 2 of them works. Thank God, and it was only just 1. And you have to keep coming back into this room over and over. Yeah, At least the reasons you come back here are interesting because of how it just gives you more stuff to use your different beams with. Obviously, there's the matter of the Chozo ghosts do not go away after a while, and you're still going to have to deal with them. Yep. Extra explanation, I suppose, for like how the Chozo just knew Samus would somehow arrive and try and fix things. Ah, finally. And look at this, our first missile recharge station. Yeah, so we're already at 120 max missiles. That's pretty good. Time for some Chozo bowling. Aside from your ship, there's like, what, 2 more missile recharge stations in this game at all? 2 does feel like that's about the amount that there is, I feel, yeah. It's just, yeah, they are really rare in this game in comparison to, like, the wide amount of save stations you come across. I always felt kind of weird that it was like that. A new path has opened. Like, these kind of puzzle rooms are cool. And Retro does a lot, like in the sequels, especially Prime 2, to have similar stuff to this that gets even more complex and involved. Just gonna open this shield for convenience. Yeah, so now we're on our way to the reflecting pool in order to further investigate the source of low temperatures in Chozo Ruins. Okay, this is cool. Look at that. Look at those fish getting sucked down. Oh no. Sorry, Stone Toad. Sorry. Yep. Rip Froggo and his brother. Alright. Metroid Pro Skater. Yeah. Where's my Hard Rock OST? Well, just pick any Metroid theme remix from the various Smash Bros. Game and you basically have that. No, I guess those kind of lean more on the side of metal, I guess it were. Yeah, clearly there actually needs to be like a punk rock remix of like, Stemmage's Metroid metal stuff is dang choice. Okay, yeah, all right, I could see that. Here we go, third beam of the game. Ice Beam. Doom Eternal cross Metroid Prime. What is your take on that as an idea? I feel could go either way in a lot of respects. Also, first thought, just wanting to show off, like, again, the other fun, subtle details of, like, how your beam changes when you change weapon types. Where it's like, this is the normal. You switch to Wave Beam, and it elongates it, like, along the X-axis. When you switch to Ice Beam, it elongates it on the Y-axis. So, you know, it's a lot more vertical. But yeah, it's like the idea of Doom Eternal cross Metroid Prime. Like, I feel like that's a bit difficult just because I think, like, when it comes to weapons between the two, it's like it's a lot simpler in what you have to think about using, like, in Metroid games in comparison to, like, what you have in Doom Eternal and, like, the kind of use cases and synergies those weapons have. I think just for me is like the idea of that, whenever I hear those kind of like, the idea of like an idea that just crosses those two things together, I start thinking, okay, does that mean like literally transplanting mechanics from one to another in order to adapt? Samus with a BFG would end the universe. She just load all her power bombs in there and just fire it off as a cluster. That's basically it. But yeah, I think part of like the bigger difference for me is like how that would end up working mechanically is that like Doom Eternal is like based a lot more on the idea that like high precision shooting and high mobility are like equal parts important, which is why the game obviously like excels a lot playing on PC with a mouse and keyboard. Metroid Prime doesn't really have that same priority, you know? Like, the mobility is not nearly as high as it is in Doom Eternal, and it's based around a lock-on system, so the idea that you need to be constantly doing precision aiming for everything, like, that's not a burden that most players have to deal with. I do think maybe there could be... If you took a close look at some aspects between both, you could see how, like, maybe there'd be some mechanical benefits to making Metroid Prime have some Doom Eternal-like ideas. But ideally, I think I would prefer if things still kept largely the same pace that that the Prime games do, but find ways to expand on the combat and mobility in like its own ways. I guess that's the best way I could think about it. Oh wait, that's right. I could go back to the Hall of the Elders and do another puzzle that gets me an energy tank. Right. Yeah, just the idea of crossing Doom and Metroid together just kind of broke my brain a bit. Because it's like, that could go in so many different directions. Honestly, you know what I would be down with? Obviously not this. Just because of, like, freaking Chozo ghosts. But kind of similar to how there was like that Doom multiplayer WOD that was like that was Mega Man Deathmatch. I'd honestly be down for them just like making like a Metroid Deathmatch, but like in classic Doom. And just use that as an excuse to like reuse like the weapon ideas and like characters from Hunters, but in a game that's not Hunters. Just so it's like easier to play and not something that requires a DS and touchscreen. Just asking since that's something I read quite a few times lately. Yeah. I feel like a lot of like the reason that discussion came up is because of people kind of, I would say, overreading into Samus's characterization in Dread that she is Nintendo's own Doomslayer, and I'm like, again, that's kind of overselling because you're kind of missing the point on like the difference in their motivations. I personally always saw Metroid as a kind of adventure game. Absolutely. But like, it's definitely at a point now where like it's not just adventure, but it's also, at least with Dread, the 2D games have now gone to a point where you can look at them like these now can actually excel at being good 2D action games on top of being a somewhat methodical adventure, which is something that I hope a similar but still different approach can be taken for Prime 4 when that happens. But I think even when it comes to characterization, I described it as such where it's like, with Doom Guy, like, the meme phrase, a local man too angry to die, applies to Doom Guy to a T, obviously. Like that's his whole shtick. He hates demons so much, and it's because of that he is really good at slaying them. Sam is and of course he also doesn't talk. That's like a big part of it. He does it while like being largely silent. Samus, meanwhile, she's a silent heroine and is like very precise and like wastes no time killing every hostile creature that she's faced with. But because she is like, she has a profession that like she's clearly getting paid for, it comes off more as like a professional who's doing stuff like just for the purpose of like just getting her next paycheck. So when it comes to dealing with certain enemies or bosses, for example, Kraid in Metroid Dread as her mannerisms show, she's clearly like, seriously, we're doing this again? Fine. Just nonchalantly shoots Kraid in the mouth. That's the part that makes me really appreciate just what they've done with Sam, as it kind of reestablishing the kind of characterization that so many people had always assumed she had, considering her silent protagonist nature. Yeah, and I still think at the end of the day, it would be especially great to have, like, Samus is a supremely capable operative who normal folk can't stop. Slayer is deathless demigod of hell murder. Did you see the bomb kill for that fight? Absolutely I did. Admittedly, I'm not done it myself just because I've, like, all the playthroughs I've done of Dread so far, I've not done anything in the way of, like, hardcore sequence breaking. I have done, but yeah, I did watch the bomb kill on Kraid, and that was amazing that they thought to include that. That clearly was something that was like a result of playtesting when they realized they had a sequence break on their hands and was like, oh, we need to work something into this now. Which feels very good and earned. Unlike, I would say, the sequence break in Metroid Fusion, where it's deliberately designed in a way that the game acknowledges it, but they go, congratulations, you broke sequence. Now go back and do it normally so we can proceed. Yeah. But like outside of the bomb kill on Kraid, while I've not done those for myself, I have done like various Shine Spark strats against multiple bosses where applicable. And man, when you pull off the Shine Spark kill on Experiment Z57, you feel like a god. That, and it's also really fun to use on like the Chozo robot soldiers. Still a better reaction than sequence break? Better fix it so it doesn't work anymore. Yeah, that is a shame. And it's because of how that attitude has been consistently dealt with throughout the series. Or not consistently, rather inconsistently dealt with. It's always led me to kind of not value sequence breaks as much as the rest of the Metroid community does. At least as far as something where I want to push myself to do it. Because I know that it's a coin toss whether Nintendo's actually going to let that stay in or they're going to, like, call the no fun police and cut that shit out. You know? That's, like, not the... It's real hard for me to, like, feel invested in that from when I feel like... where, like, it doesn't feel like it's a consistent core tenet of the game's design. Whether to include that stuff. That said, I'm at least glad that Mercury Steam and Nintendo still included stuff like that in Dread. You know? There we go. Classic freeze 'em and missile 'em strategy. I also really like how it's all... And again, like, more evidence of just how well they balance these beams and that one isn't just a straight upgrade over the other. The fact that firing projectiles with the ice beam is super slow. I'm reminded of that one comment on a Nier Automata speedrun where the runner said, please don't patch that out of bounds glitch. And one of the commenters on the couch was like, Yoko Taro would probably just put a sign with a quirky message there to encourage people to do it. Oh, man. That would be so on point. God. I mean, Yoko Taro is the man that just lets you buy every single trophy in Automata and get yourself the platinum without putting in the effort. I would not be surprised if you were to just, like, put in a message that says, yes, our game is broken in this area. Feel free to mess with it. He is a profoundly strange person indeed. Okay. Actually, I'm needing to double check because I feel like I had lost track. If I... Did I get... Yes, I did. I did get the missile tank from there, right. I was just blanking on it. Yeah, I love his games for all that stuff, too. Okay. We're not going to enter the frigate just yet, obviously, because we don't have a grappling hook, but we are going to return to our ship. God, we got such good tools already at our disposal. You know, we got 3 visors, 3 energy beams. Unbelievably strange is a game design ethos that doesn't get enough love. Absolutely. Especially when that unbelievably strange aspect of it has a clear amount of thought to it, you know? Like, you can tell Yoko Taro just clearly thought of, like, in depth of, like, how these weird things he puts into his games will, like, contribute to the overall experience and, like, push things in a certain way. Alright. Oh, man. This thing is so powerful. I could just one-shot the beetles now. Oh, God, I forgot just how good that is. Like, higher damage on projectiles, slower speed. A fair trade in comparison when compared to the other 2 weapons we've used up to this point. That reminds me, I really want to give Nier Reincarnation a shot. Is that like... I forget. Is that like one of those... one of the mobile games or something? How can I make it more depressing, but in a cute way? Yoko Taro. Probably. Asterisk. That is pretty good. That was the mobile game? Yeah, that makes sense. Kind of unsurprising that I wouldn't, that I've not checked out or paid attention to it, just because mobile games are not really my thing. They're kind of outside my domain of like what games I'm willing to check out. I don't even really have that much space on my phone for it if I wanted to, just because I treat my phone like an MP3 player. That's its primary use, for like 99%. The remaining 1% is for the few times I actually have to make a phone call or text someone. Nope, not that way. Right, it's the other door. Yep, because we got a spider ball tracked to move along. Did you see that one interview where he said he would make the next Nier game like a Persona? I was laughing my ass off on that. Oh, jeez. Probably would end up being more interesting overall to me than Persona lately. Can't begin to imagine what that would look like. I could probably imagine it would involve high school, but with, like, the viciousness and cruelty of high school kids being, like, on full display. I feel like that would be the first thing I could immediately see. Because I feel like there's like two creators that would very easily go for that in trying to like portray characters in a high school setting in Japan. It's Yoko Taro and it's Suda51. Because Suda, you know, like he loves to kind of give good justification for like how his characters can end up going so psychotic that, yeah, having to deal with other kids in high school probably would do that, at least in his world. Oh, time for my favorite mechanic, ice beaming the fire jets. Yeah, that's a mechanic I totally didn't just forget when I decided to, like, morph ball under them. Silly me. Don't mind me as I keep taking damage from all the Noxus puffer gas. I mean, the other thing I like about this room, obviously, is that you can clearly see how revisits through this will become faster, because we're going to get our grapple beam back eventually. Okay. And finally, on our here to the geothermal core. Oh yeah, these things. These creatures that you can just flip over to use as platforms. Yeah, I already got the burrower. The more I see Metroid, the more I want to play these games. Yeah, absolutely play them. Yeah, that's probably true. I'd say it's probably not as big a deal for a lot of like the early 2D games, you know, because like NES, Game Boy, and Super Metroid and Super Nintendo, like emulation is like solid as is. Same for Game Boy Advance as well. So like those 2D ones, like that's not hard. Dread, obviously, you either would need to get a Switch or like just go the route of automatically like emulating it on one of the emulators available, because obviously there was that news when the game came out. It's like, oh hey, Dread runs surprisingly well on Switch emulators, going for like 120 FPS and 4K. And it's like, cool that it's there, but don't say that until enough people have supported the game regularly, you fucks. At the very least, I would say that like the Metroid games that you'd be recommended to play are at least like the platforms they're on are thankfully like decently emulatable. you know? It's not, like, I guess that's one thing you can be grateful for, that they didn't try and make a Metroid game on N64, just because, like, good luck, like, still trying to get decent N64 emulation. It's funny, only games out of the genre that I ever played is Symphony of the Night and such. Yeah. Admittedly, for the longest time, it was mostly just Metroid I had played and the such. Not really any of, like, the Castlevania side of things. You know? Okay, so I need to go down here and do things to get new energy tank. Oh, god damn it. No. That's it. I still need to replay Symphony of the Night for, like, reassessing my opinion on it in relation to, like, the other Igavanias. Because I did do, like, those whole stream series of, like I played, like, the GBA and DS Castlevanias. Nope, that's blocked off. Shit. And, like, and getting to play those for the first time was, like, neat. And just kind of see how, in some ways, they were better than Symphony, and others, like, not nearly as impressive. But I do want to, like, replay just to figure out, like, because I'm pretty positive, at least for my money, that Symphony is not, like, the best of the Igavanias, you know? But I'd be curious to see, like, where in the middle it would end up for me. It's been long enough. And then once that's all done, hopefully by that point, Iga will have finally finished his DLC roadmap for Bloodstained, and I'll just, like, play through all of that content on stream. Just for the hell of it. It's probably Aria or its sequel. Like, Aria's really good. I think for my money, the best Igavania, like, from them is actually Portrait of Ruin. I like that game a lot. Like, Aria is really tightly paced. That's, like, its best strength. And it manages to make the idea of, like, grinding enemy kills for their soul drops as, like, it makes it come off as something remotely tolerable for me, you know? Whereas it definitely became a lot longer in the tooth on, like, in Dawn of Sorrow. Portrait, meanwhile, doesn't have that level of, like, grinding with enemies, but it does have, like, the dual character mechanic, and that's a lot of fun. You know, like, you got two characters, you got a lot of equipment slots for them, so that gives you quite a bit of variety as far as, like, what stuff to equip on them and, like, and broken builds that you can make out of that. Plus, it has, like, one of my absolute favorite sections that is matched only by you fighting Julius near the end of Aria, and that's you getting to fight the memory of Richter Belmont so that you, as Jonathan Morris, have an inkling of a chance of being able to use the vampire killer to its fullest. I get the time, I'll probably stream that Record of Lodos War Metroidvania. I've been meaning to get to that. Yeah, I forgot that actually happened. I hear good things about it, but then again, I'm not entirely sure if it would be something that, like, it would suit me, because, like, a while ago, like, I had played, like, a Metroidvania, like, a 2D one that, like, I was curious about whether or not it would be good enough for me to stream, and I kind of decided it wasn't. And that game was, Touhou Lunar Nights. I think if that's what it's called. Lunar Nights, something like that. Because it was, like, off and on. Like, I like the Touhou series well enough. I've been most familiar with, like, the time I spent playing Touhou 6, which was, like, Embodiment of Scarlet Devil. And because Luna Nights has you playing as Sakuya, like, the time stop made, that was, like, that was probably, like, my in for it, where it's like, okay, I want to check it out just on that front, because I like Sakuya. And it was, like, mechanically, the core game mechanics behind, like, how they make her time stop powers work was really cool. I just kind of fell off it because I was not impressed with like the level design. It's the sort of thing where like every time I was playing through it, it felt like the game would have benefited more if they had just made a set of linear levels, because that's what it felt like. Like there wasn't any meaningful intersection of and backtracking through old areas that felt anywhere remotely as good as like the Metroid games or even the Igavanias. Like it very much felt like a case of you go into a zone, you try and find the correct path to the boss of that zone, you kill the boss, then you move on to the next zone. You don't have situations like you do in actual Metroid games where it's like you go to a zone, you're not going to be able to complete everything there is in that zone because before you know it, you realize you have to go to another area that has a key item that lets you make further progress in the previous zone. And that's how that flow works. That's why it can be fun in the genre when you design it that way. Ludonites just did not have that, and maybe again think I'd be more into this if they had just designed this as like a pure linear level-based action game. Because the time stop powers were really cool about it and made good advantage of it with the bosses, but I felt it wasn't worth me trying to continue to pursue those when the level design and progression on that front wasn't working. I rarely have played Metroidvanias that actually click with me. Yeah, same. It's like so many of them are just... They're trying so hard to just keep rechanneling the same old memories they have of how much they love Super Metroid in Symphony of the Night, and it's like, that's not really enough, man. Okay, so transport access. We obviously can't get through this ice yet, I believe, because we need the thermal beam. Not thermal, plasma beam. It's both, really. That's what it feels like. Only ones that really did were Mirror of Fate, Momodora, Reverie on the Moonlight, Valdez story. Yeah. So, okay, I'll admit, though, it's like... I can see the others just because I have not had any experience with them. Mirror of Fate, I do find hard to believe is like a good Metroidvania, just because looking at it, it was like really baffling design decisions and like idea of progression that really did not fit with like it looked like a game that was being attempted by a studio that had no idea how to actually do it and needed consultation. Which is really funny to think about when you see how they went from Mirror of Fate to Metroid Dread. That sums it up pretty accurately for me, Grunt. And I definitely say that as well as someone who likes a really good like player movement or mechanics, like real tech that like gets me into it. But the idea is that like I already play other games that are designed around that and are explicitly linear, like they're character action games. It's stuff like Devil May Cry and Ninja Gaiden. So yeah. Yeah, it's the sort of thing where, like, yeah, I recognize that with Metroidvanias, you have a lot more writing on it, that you can't just rest on the laurels of other things that would be totally acceptable by itself if it were another genre. And alas, it's just most indie games in the genre don't really do that, and unsurprisingly, since it's like a result of just how saturated it is as a genre. Like, I feel like even boomer shooters generally have a better sense of, like, what they need to do in order for, like, their indie shooter to qualify as that. And even then, those games, I feel, are still facing the same oversaturation problem that Metroidvanias in the indie scene have already been having for years. See, what time is it? Oh, wow. It's already, like... We're only, like, over 3 hours in. Shoot. Okay, I'm gonna see, like, how far in I could get. Because I know, like, the thing we're getting at this part of Phendrana Drifts is the gravity suit. That's, like, the major thing we need to get, obviously. So... I think once I get that, I can start thinking a bit more about, like, how soon I want to wrap up the stream. Because I have been sitting here for quite a while. Okay, there we go. Ease of shooting those stalactites to make them fall. Might want to take a stretch bathroom hydrate break or something. I mean, I already did that before hitting start on the stream. I can generally go well for about like 4 hours straight. That's not really an issue for me. It's just trying to make sure that I can find like a decent place to save and that like I don't have to waste extra time getting back to a save point, since this game does not does not have like auto checkpoints or anything like that, you know? But yeah, I'll be fine. Thanks for the concern though. I think like I basically treat it similarly to like how it would be if I were working like less hours at my job, where it was like part-time and I did not have the opportunity for like a lunch break or something like that, where it was like if it's just for 4 hours, that's doable enough. If it got way longer, like over 5 or 6, I would absolutely be taking like a midstream break. All right. There we go. Just wanted to do that, because that's still, like, my favorite of the beam combos in this game. Okay, I believe, yeah, I gotta go down is the thing. Talking and sitting still for 3 hours isn't something the human body is particularly good at. Yeah, well, that obviously can, you know, you can get used to it for a while, obviously. I at least make sure that, like, I do other things to get myself moving around once a stream is over. Okay. Scatter bombos. They're still here. Whew. Yeah. I gotta say, though, it's like, with these stalactites in particular, I recall having, like, this is one of those things where I remember it convincing me that free aim lock-on in the Prime Trilogy, like, Wii version of this game was kind of a liability. Because, like, hitting those stalactites with a missile when locked on, it comes off as easy as it is because it is locking you on directly to the tiny hitbox where the missile can actually register as colliding with it. If you try and aim at it with lock-on free aim, it becomes demonstrably harder to properly land. And that was kind of the problem where I remember on one of my Prime Trilogy playthroughs of 1, I was confused because it was like, wait, is this broken? Am I doing something wrong? It was definitely weird. Okay, we're at the Hunter Cave. Incidentally, do you have a strange Twitch status or setting? I can't get your follow to show up in my list or in the Prime game tag page. I really have no idea. It is, like, super bizarre just what that is, and I have no idea whether that's something that can even be fixed with settings, or if that is merely a result of, like, the fact that I am not partner or affiliate, and therefore Twitch doesn't give a fuck about, like, when I go live for anything. Admittedly, you're like the second person to bring that up, but like the first time it was mentioned to me was like way long ago. I wasn't sure if there was some sort of private option you set because of goons or some such. I don't recall setting it to that, no. So yeah, I'm just not really sure what it is with that. Regardless, it's always been known for obviously that like discoverability and like notification stuff on Twitch has been like god awful for getting people noticed unless they are already of a status that their streams bring in money for the site. So of course they'll always like be more prevalent. But I don't know. I could at least do something to maybe like try and just double check with other people I know. Discoverability is one thing, but only being accessible if they know your username is another. That's fair, yeah. Come on. Yeah, I did. Yep, exactly. I'm just trying to deal with, like, the gel sap right there. Okay, but it won't be too long till I finally get the gravity suit. Oh, finally. Look at that. Cool. Yeah, good. I was having Torva's Bog flashbacks. Fucking exactly. Like, number one reason for, like, for what contributes to Torva's Bog being so blah out of all the major zones in Prime 2 is just how long you have to dredge through all the water in that zone before you can actually get the gravity suit equivalent. And it's like, it's crazy because it's like, we only had to do, what, a couple rooms of just going through water without it? It never felt like it was half the entire section. And even Dread, like, it has sections where you're clearly going through underwater sections before you get the gravity suit, and it's way more tolerable than that. Oh yeah, that's obviously like a big part of it as well. Just all the browns and beiges. And the lightning dogs, right? The blogs that they're called. The dang alpha blogs, curse them, absolutely. God, oh man. That is definitely the part I'm like least looking forward to about the Prime 2 replay when I get to that. But I know it will be made up for in the moment because the place you go to immediately after Torva's Bog is Sanctuary Fortress, and that is amazing. Like, I wonder how a Metroid game would be if they gave you all the stuff you have at the end of a game from the start and evolve those from there. That'd be an interesting experiment. I think it would definitely have to be, like, offset by making enemies especially tough and threatening just to kind of deal with the fact that you have the likes of Space Jump and Screw Attack out the gate. Because I feel like you always go looking for 99% the same upgrades in every game. That's absolutely, like, a thing that does happen. You do get some You do get some new items, obviously, so I think it's not like 99%. Also, yeah, you'd probably like skip 2/3 of the game. Yeah, it's the sort of thing where it'd be like, it would probably be like a sequence breaker's like paradise, but designing it explicitly around that, I feel, would probably result in like the actual intended sequence of events kind of suffering a bit. Like it's sort of a, I feel like it's a problem that generally gets ignored in a lot of cases when people like talk about Zero Mission, because Zero Mission, like, it has a lot of things in it that are designed to like encourage sequence breaking. Like the wall jumping is super potent, that you can just climb up a single wall effortlessly. And bomb jump timing is like easier in it than it ever was in Super and Fusion. In fact, Fusion, they designed it so that you explicitly couldn't do like the crazy huge bomb jump chains. So it's like you can do that, and it really opens up like your way through the map, and you can get things in different orders with relative ease. But the problem is that, like, because of how that affects the intended sequence, combined with it being a remake of Metroid 1, just the general map and how they try and like funnel you through it, like the intended route, it feels boring in comparison to like the maps they've had in like Super Metroid, for example. Yeah, and yeah, like you definitely sum it up perfectly, because like that's absolutely what Nintendo have thought about it ever for like since the beginning. It's like it's learning each new skill or piece of equipment, and the power curve comes from is like the reward of that and the exploration, because that's how you get more stuff. Okay, hold on. Yep, I can make that jump. Yeah. There's ultimately like a place for sequence breaks in these games, obviously. It's just that Nintendo historically has been very inconsistent about how much they want to encourage that. That trying to say that that's somehow like a deciding factor in if a Metroid game can be good, I feel is very short-sighted. No, wait, not through there. We've already been here. I actually, like, this is something where I've actually kind of thought about it and wouldn't mind if it was the case. Like, the idea of having for, like, a kind of Metroid-style, like, game, or at least a game with a Metroid-type map. And it's the idea where it's, like, where, like, you're still going through for, like, your general progression of getting new powers and whatnot. But the idea is that rather than getting powers that unlock the critical path through to the next zone or boss or what have you, instead it's like you get new powers that allow you to access shortcuts to get through the critical path faster. With the conceit being that it would be a non-linear boss rush where the goal is to get to every part of the map where there is a boss fight and fight it, and you get a new ability from it. And like as you get more abilities from it, like things in the game map like dynamically evolve to become more difficult. It's obviously like it obviously takes a lot of liberties with like the intended Metroid structure. But I think it's one where I've always felt like that would be like a cool way of going about it, where there's still some amount of exploration, but also giving room to emphasize that it can also be a good action game. Santa's being reflected in the visor is such a good touch. Yeah, it is. It's really cool to always see that. Also, Prime 4 could be Samus training a new hunter, so you can alternate between superpowered and being a chump threatened by streak bats. That's a very interesting concept. Okay, but we're gonna get back up top. Now that we got the gravity suit, obviously, I think what we need to do is head back to Talon Overworld. I'll stop by the ship, and then that will be it for today's stream. That'll be a sufficient stopping point, so that on Saturday we can tackle the sunken frigate and keep making our way through to the end. Ah, good old purple. Yep, just gotta work our way back to that elevator. And yeah, there we go. Freezing these fire jets. So, oh, that's a Dad of War Metroid. Yeah! Don't see why not. They could go any direction at this point. Prequel of Babby Samus, Samus Beyond. Oh, man. You know, at this point, they're going to continue to, like, try and, like, expand things in these games with, like, different hunters and whatnot. If, like, yeah, at that point, I forget which producer at Nintendo it was that said that he wanted, like, his, one of his general ideas for, like, what he wanted to explore in, like, a future Prime game is, like, the idea of that one hunter from the DS game. His name was Silex, I think it was, and just be all, like... Yeah, just have a game that, like, is focused around him being, like, a major force. Why not? And I'm like, sure, okay. The other characters in Prime Hunters were, like, pretty dumb, but I'd say they were still dumb in a charming way. That could probably work. Actually, you know what? They almost went Justice League already. They could even do squad tactics. Yeah. Actually, you know, I just realized, I think I found a reason for why I'm now more on board with the idea of just bringing back one of the characters from Prime Hunters. And the reason is because after playing through Dread and being introduced to Ravenbeak, who's just like one of the best goddamn freaking rivals that Samus has ever had, I feel like it is imperative that they have like a new rival in place for Prime 4, and why not just give more focus to Silex, because the whole point of his backstory is that, like, he's a bounty hunter who has, like, a huge grudge against the Federation and Samus. So having it be something where it's, like, both of them are, like, huge players in the same game, kind of squaring off each other over time, that'd be cool. It would certainly be, like, familiar, yet not just retreading the exact same dynamic that the later games got, where it was like Samus versus Dark Samus. I mean, the things I still remember about Prime Hunters are primarily to do with the design of all the different hunters, their weapons, and how it worked in multiplayer, because admittedly that was what that game was focused on. I remember playing the multiplayer for a brief time back then, and I had enough fun with it. Like, it was novel enough just to kind of see how they designed everything to kind of work with all these different characters who also have like alternate like transformations. Like, yeah, Samus has the morph ball that is unique to her, but all these other hunters also need to have their own method of transformation to be comparable. It was kind of silly, but also kind of cool. The designs overall, I felt, were still very largely fitting with what Prime has always been, you know? Just a wide range of different sci-fi concepts that are very high quality looking, even when, like, the core concepts behind them can be seen as a bit goofy. But the goofiness adds to it. So her superpower is she can go anywhere a guinea pig can. So OP. Okay. Now then, let's make our way back to the ship. We definitely haven't saved in a while. All right. Yes, save our progress. Sam's is like 13 species in canon, right? At least it feels like it from what I saw. Yeah, so, okay. Counting it off. She's human, that's one. She has Chozo DNA, specifically 2 types. One from the... I forget the name of the first one, but it's the one that specifically raised her, like, like in place of her parents because they died. And then the other Chozo, the Makin, which is like them being the warrior tribe. And then she's part Metroid. So she's 4 by the time Dread rolls around. And I guess it's like, there's also like a point in the Prime trilogy, specifically 3, where she basically is self-regenerating Phazon, which is a bad thing, but like that's kind of a part of her for that game. So yeah, she's also part Phazon in one of these games, but not part Metroid, because again, that takes place before Fusion. Yeah, she is at least a minimum. Isn't she part X-Parasite? No, she can absorb X-Parasites, because the idea is that the Metroids were the natural predators of the parasites themselves. That's what they were genetically engineered for. So that's why she can absorb them. Yeah. It's just that Fusion has that bit where, because of her first contact with the X, her suit got infected, they had to surgically remove parts of it, and then those surgically removed parts took form as a doppelganger of her, which was the SAX. Yeah, that's basically it. Like I've said before, she's a walking petri dish. It's amazing. All right, so that's it. We made good progress. We got like what, 8 energy tanks, 125 missiles. We basically are like based on what I recall, we're about we are about over halfway through, maybe 2/3. Metroid's been genetically engineered for a whole lot of stuff now. Space Pirate Science Team just loves rubbing new mutant chins into them. Man, that sounds like Bleach. I mean, I wouldn't know. I generally have refused to watch or read Bleach. It's just kind of not my thing. But I at least like it in the context of Metroid, just because of all the confluence of different sci-fi elements. It's like, why not have a case of slightly subtle body horror in relation to your main character, who you realize is just like a culmination of different DNA structures that are not her own. But yeah, next stream's gonna be happening like on Saturday as usual, around the same time. I'm curious to see if it'll be possible for me to like clear the rest of the game on Saturday. Maybe not. Who knows? Just because doing 100% for everything in Metroid Prime, as always, is like a time-intensive matter. You can't necessarily do it quite as fast as you can doing 100% in like a 2D Metroid, obviously. But yeah, Saturday we'll finally be making our way through the sunken frigate, doing a whole lot of exploring through the Phazon mines and getting our remaining powers. She does what she gotta do to foil Ridley and all people who work with or near Ridley. Yep. Just gotta do everything she can to make sure he stays dead. And at least by the time of Dread, he is still staying dead. X-Parasite mimic of him notwithstanding in Fusion. You know? Yeah. I was glad to provide this. And thanks for also joining and watching for a lot of this. So that'll be it. Take care, everyone.